Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys have had a good Friday so far and continue to have a good Friday as we make our way through the afternoon. We've got a lot to go over today. We have a snowstorm that will be ongoing in less than 24 hours for millions of people across the eastern and southeastern US. So we're going to get into that today. We got National Weather Service graphics to show you guys, as well as model runs and what you can expect to see in your backyard. So we're going to get into it right now. Like the video if you like it, subscribe if you've not done so already, and please leave a comment down below where you're watching from. I greatly appreciate that. So this right here is the latest from the National Weather Service. We've got a lot of warnings here. Anywhere in some shade of pink. This is probably not the best color. In fact, I'm gonna fix that problem. Anywhere in these like pink colors that you see, those are winter storm warnings. Now you might be wondering what these purple ones are. They're just normal. They've got these blue ones underneath them, which makes it darker. Those are extreme cold warnings, which we also have issued for any area you see in this dark purple as well. Any areas up in here, for example, these are just winter storm warnings, and that is the highest criteria we've got. As of right now, just going to make sure we don't have any blizzard warnings in this area. Yeah, the highest criteria warning I would say we have is this in here. You see how these lines are kind of moving a little bit? On WeatherWise, it indicates something important. This is a shelter-in-place warning for areas of the Outer Banks. This was pretty recently issued. They're just saying in this warning that they will be issuing a state of emergency and you need to be sheltering in place because of beach erosion, among other things. So please heed that warning if you're in that area. Heed any of these warnings, guys. Any of these in here. We have cold weather advisories almost everywhere in the southeastern quarter or so of the U.S. and all of these cold weather related things down here. Extreme cold warnings, extreme cold watches, cold weather advisories, multiple different things going on, but that is the latest from there. How about our latest satellite loop? We use this to try to decipher where our energy is right now. This is the last couple of hours or so, and this is water vapor in the upper levels, probably 500 and up to maybe 200 millibars, so many miles above your head. Do you see this right here? It's subtle. Do you see that kind of diving south? That is our energy. This is observed. This is not a model. You can see, kind of like we had modeled, there's this kind of elongated area of energy here, and it's diving due south right now, as well as this belt of moisture down here. So our energy, our main players are on the field already, as we can see right now. And yeah, you can see that the jet stream is kind of diving like this. I've got another computer at my desk here that's just playing a loop that shows the wind, and it is very strong aloft in these areas. So it's diving down, diving across. Our main players are already here. And for areas in northern South Carolina, western North Carolina, eastern Kentucky, Tennessee, far eastern or far western areas of Virginia, this event starts in maybe 12 to 18 hours or less. So this is a now thing for a lot of people, but we're still going to go over model guidance. So we're going to get into that right now. So this is the latest Euro, the 6Z, and we're starting this off. I didn't mean to start it here. We're starting it here. This is 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. And do you see this? This feature has shown up consistently over the past several runs on multiple different models. So we're getting a lot that somewhere between Columbia area up to maybe Greenville, North Carolina. We have some sort of initial band that sets up here. And where it sets up, it will be important because this could drop several inches pretty quickly. But we get into Saturday morning, and you see this area of snow begin to blossom. This is Saturday about 10 a.m., and you can just see that broad area of snow all the way past the Atlanta metro in longitude here. It's getting over into Alabama. We might get that. The National Weather Service is kind of teasing at that. And here we have our dry slide still showing up here, but do not worry, it does fill in. You see this area snow start to spread south, and getting into this frame here, this would be about 4 p.m. And you can see areas of heavy snow in central South Carolina. In fact, every single county in North Carolina seeing snow except for the Outer Banks, and it's very windy at this point. We see snow kind of along the South Carolina and Georgia border. We will have to watch this feature, guys. This right in here will be important. There are heavier values showing up here. This is called a surface trough, and it is generated. We have our mountains here. So as the energy swings down, it kind of wraps up under, and we get some sort of curling to happen. Wherever that sets up, there will be locally higher values. I would not be surprised in the upstate area here or northeast Georgia to get 10 inches. Somebody might get that, but not everybody. It's not a widespread thing. But we move this on in time. That dry slot right there over, say, Myrtle Beach does fill in later, but it also does knock your totals down a little bit, and then it finishes out. I will briefly look up the coast, although this really has trended away from you guys, and then I-95 corridor, and then even up to Atlantic Canada. I mean, Atlantic Canada does get hit here. Don't get me wrong. And like uh, areas east of Boston, getting out into Cape Cod, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, you get something. Don't get me wrong. It's not a nothing event, but it's not what it once was. The low is just much further out to sea than we were initially anticipating. So yeah, it moves through, goes up the coast, looks like that. That's the latest Euro. What about the GFS model? It has kind of come back to its senses. It's been all over the place. I think this latest run looks pretty good. So the reason I had this pulled up is earlier I was comparing, but again, we'll start at the right time. This right here is midnight. Here's that band of snow, from the central Midlands to the low country of South Carolina all the way up. Where this sets up will be important. And we have heavier snow along the southern Appalachians, and then we move this on, really starts to overspread the region. The GFS isn't a huge fan of getting snow, appreciable snow, to Atlanta, but it does get you guys some flurries, maybe. And you can see the coastal areas are still dry at this point. It's be just after lunchtime tomorrow, but it's kind of an all-encompassing type of event, right? All of North Carolina, most of South Carolina is still snowing in eastern areas of Tennessee and Kentucky. You guys are kind of a lock at this point to get measurable, appreciable snow. Southern areas of Virginia really getting in on this, all the way to Virginia Beach at this time. And then where does it go afterwards? It starts to spread south and mainly just east. You can see a dry slot here over areas of, say, Wilmington, North Carolina, but it does fill in so quickly that your totals really aren't affected. And then it moves on out to sea. The GFS is even further offshore, as far as I know. We will look. So yeah, it actually has come back a little bit to the idea of giving Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket areas some snow. Like it does snow, but it's not very heavy. Atlantic Canada smashed with this here. So yeah, that's a pretty solid signal there, but it does not really impact the I-95. It's pretty similar to the Euro, to be honest with you. So what about the regional version of the Canadian? I might pull up the Canadian on the fly here, but they've been very similar to each other. So we look at this here, and yeah, this right here is getting into the early morning hours. This band does set up on the short range version of the Canadian, but not quite as intense here, although it does intensify. But this is a pretty similar solution to the Euro, at least initially, with getting snow into Alabama. We might see that. Don't think that you won't see anything, but you're not getting anything super measurable, if you will. But you see these areas of heavier snow, we start to spread this out. There is that surface trough showing up down here. This is like banding features in eastern Georgia. We may well see that. That low is very close, and it starts to ride up the coast and intensify. Using this frame here, this is getting into about 4 a.m. Sunday morning. That is not what I meant to click on. We'll use this one. 4 a.m. Sunday, and our wind looks like this. So the areas of the Outer Banks have sustained winds of the 40s and 50s miles per hour. This is a knot, so you have to kind of do some basic math. But very, very strong winds, gusting well higher than this, which is why I still think we could see blizzard warnings issued, but it would probably be issued relatively soon. And then it moves offshore, and we don't have enough of this to really show you the up the coast areas. I think I will shift it up the coast just a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it does get some into Cape Cod area, but it's very light, crashes into Atlantic Canada, and then moves on out. So there's that. Now, how about short range models? So this is kind of what we really focus on at this range. As little as 12 and up as much as 48 hours. This is what we look at here. This is the what am I looking at? This is the HRRR model. So yeah, we're starting this off very soon. This is midnight. See these areas of heavier snow in the sandhills of North Carolina down to the Midlands? We could see that, and you see areas of rain south of Columbia. It might be warm enough for rain in that area at this time. I'm not confident in that though. It might be too cold for rain, but either way, they switched to snow. And this right here is what time this be? This be about 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Starts to overspread more areas here. And so you take it to like this frame here. This would be 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, and look at these very heavy snow showers. Atlanta, you're getting in on this a little bit. There's these like streamers of snow. Tuscaloosa, Birmingham area, that's a possibility. The National Weather Service is not too excited about those, but those are also very, very hard to forecast. And look at this band of snow. Do you see this? From the upstate South Carolina all the way down through Gainesville, Lawrenceville, Macon, down to Statesboro area, Savannah. That band is because of essentially a micro scale, very small, low pressure that forms. So that again, where that sets up will be very important. The National Weather Service cites that as well in their discussions, and it moves on east, and then I mean it just really gets areas going here. Look at that low pressure. That looks like a hurricane, doesn't it? I mean, this is insane looking. HRRR here, and we move this on. That's its last frame. So as of 7 a.m. Sunday, it is still snowing in the Outer Banks with very heavy winds going on. So there's that, and then up the coast a little bit, you can kind of see the HRRR is going almost due east out to sea. I doubt it would do that. If I had to assume, it would kind of go out like this, but that's well enough offshore not to do a whole lot for areas further inland. There's that. Now, how about the RRFSA model? Here's that snow band from Columbia up to Greenville, North Carolina, that is. And we may see this. Model guidance really likes this. This is midnight tonight. So this is very, very soon, guys. Very soon. It is 2:44 as of the time I am talking. That is 10 hours away. So watch it. Just pay attention to it. And here we go. It kind of, the RRFSA likes the idea of initializing between Asheville and Gainesville and Charlotte with this very, very heavy band of snow. We might see that. Let's get back to where we were here. This is about 6 a.m., 7, 8, 9, 10 a.m. Very heavy snow. RRFSA is a bully. It doesn't like Atlanta getting any snow. That is very much possible. And the RRFSA does not really know what a dry slot is. It's kind of a GFS similar here, where it's just such a widespread event. We move this on, and you see how the low is right here, but it's further offshore. So it switches you guys to snow earlier and keeps you snow in the Outer Banks a lot longer. This frame right here is about lunchtime tomorrow. It's still snowing in the Outer Banks. And just to zoom out a little bit, this cutoff here is just because that's where the data cuts off. And it really does not like areas of, Cape Cod really getting a whole lot. And you can see, well, I mean, on this, again, it takes the low and it goes off in here with it. So it really doesn't even like Atlantic Canada getting it on this. Something to watch. And then the NAM. So the NAM in the 6Z run, I do want to make sure that, yeah, this is the 12Z. The 6Z run this morning, was very odd in that it really dropped off the precipitation in areas of northern South Carolina, eastern Georgia, kind of in these regions right here. It really dropped off the precipitation, and the totals were negligible. So what has it done with the 12Z? Well, we start a little later. This is 3 a.m., but that's still relatively early. Atlanta, you're already snowing. Gainesville, it's already snowing. Huntsville, Alabama, it's snowing. Up to Pikeville, Kentucky, it is snowing. And then southern areas of West Virginia, it's snowing pretty widespread. There's that band from Columbia over to the Raleigh-Durham area. You see it initialized here. Pretty, very, very heavy. If you get under that, reiterate this. If you get under that, a few to several inches could fall in next to no time before the event really even gets going. So we have that, and then look at this area of absurdly heavy snow. All the way down here, south of Waynesboro, Warner Robins area, Swainsboro, up and then through pretty much along the Savannah River here, up through the upstate. This is upper 20s decibels here, even 30 decibels in some areas. That is very, very heavy snow. And then it likes Atlanta with some appreciable snow falling here. I don't know if it's going to add up a whole lot. We'll see in a second. And then Birmingham, Tuscaloosa getting on some light snow showers. So as it go after, it starts to spread south along the I-26 corridor and then gets well south of the I-20 corridor. And just look at this area of snow. Although there's a dry slot here. You see between Columbia and Wilmington somewhere, nothing showing up. Over Myrtle Beach, nothing. And then, but you guys fill in with some very heavy snow, upper 20s decibels as a measurement there, very heavy. And then it moves this offshore. Another thing it was interesting this morning, was had a lot of mixing. So you see some of these pinks is freezing rain, the purple is some sort of sleet, but this run kind of eliminates that, and it really likes South Carolina on this run, so it kind of corrected itself, if you will. Areas up here, I want to address you guys. For a run like this in this area, you might be thinking, what the heck is going on here? It just ticked it south enough and west enough to not get you guys in on it. We'll look at the graphics from the National Weather Service and try to talk some sense into these totals here in a second. So speaking of that, we're going to briefly go over the Euro. Yep, the Euro is doing Euro things. It's been doing Euro things like this for many runs. The Smokies and surrounding areas, very, very high totals. And the upstate of South Carolina down to Gainesville area, very impressive totals here, 10 inches or more. This is using the higher ratio here. I don't know exactly what it is, the Kuchera ratio, but it's higher than 10 to 1. And it's probably something like 15 to 17 to 1. So very high ratios. There is that dry slot. Guys, this is mean. And if it does happen like this, I feel for you. I really do, because this is unfortunate. If you're in Conway, Myrtle Beach area and you see a run like this, don't get too bummed out, because this thing has moved. Let me look at the run before this. So similar, but your totals are still higher. What about the run before that? It wasn't there. So don't get too caught up in this specific solution. And then Jacksonville, Goldsboro, Greenville area is another hot spot. It does not like the coastal areas as much, although you're still talking about many inches of snow. Raleigh-Durham area. And then, yeah, this over even to Atlanta. An inch and a half to several inches of snow. Getting past the border into Alabama here. So watch that, pay attention to it. And then you go up the coast, it does kind of like Cape Cod here. Although your National Weather Service graphic is not calling for much, and I think that's a very safe bet as of now. You still have some things to figure out up here. And look at Atlantic Canada. I mean, up near 3 feet of snow. So very impressive. How about the GFS model? Kind of looks similar. We've kind of improved the GFS a little bit. I can already tell you that the National Weather Service likes the GFS, because this is the area the National Weather Service highlights as well. The National Weather Service does not highlight that circle. I don't know why, because the Euro's been showing it for a very long time. They might be GFS biased. I don't know. And that's not a knock on them. It's really not. But look here, of the areas of the I-95 corridor, Fayetteville, down to the South Carolina border. I mean, over a foot of snow showing up on GFS. The GFS also does not know what a dry slot is, except for maybe that's what this is. But it calls a dry slot 4 to 5 inches. So that's, in areas of the South, let's be honest, 5 inches of snow is a pretty solid amount, right? Over to the Greenville-Spartanburg area, at least half a foot of snow. Down to Atlanta, it's a mean cutoff. Go a few counties up and you got measurable snow, a few counties down I-85, and there is nothing to speak of. But I don't know. This isn't a bad scenario here, not necessarily. And this lines up more with what the National Weather Service is saying. Again, they might just really like the GFS for some reason. But what about our short-range models? This is kind of what I bet got a lot of people excited. This is the HRRR through the run that it gives us. So this is through Sunday morning. So it's not done in some of these areas, but it's mostly done. And I mean, I'm nitpicky with this because I live in this area that's kind of not getting as much. I think something might be a little off with the ratio here, because I can switch this. I'm not going to do it now. I could switch this to the 10 to 1 ratio and it would not change. That tells me that the HRRR does not buy high ratios. I buy high ratios. But even so, several inches of snow, here's that band, that goes kind of down areas of central and eastern Georgia all the way to the coast. There's just higher values. You get several inches in this. And then areas on this map that are in this pink color are 6 inches or more. So widespread 6 inches are showing up here off the HRRR model in most of South Carolina. Even down to Myrtle Beach, it does not know what a dry slot is in that sense. Drops over a foot and a half of snow over the New Bern area of North Carolina, up through Belhaven, and then up to Columbia, North Carolina. Elizabeth City has actually dropped off a little bit on this run. Virginia Beach, I mean, it's an aggressive cutoff, but it's still look at how large this footprint of blues are. Blue on this map is at least an inch or two. So that's measurable snow, and millions of people are under this. I just think that's cool, guys. We don't get this in the South that much. What about the NAM 3K? It kind of, I buy this scenario in the sense that it has the ratios higher. So yeah, I mean, look at areas of Columbia here, over 12 inches of snow. Very possible to get that, but I don't really think we will. Atlanta down here with a few inches, and then it does not like Raleigh Durham. You might be looking in here and be like, what the heck is going on? That's just one run. In fact, I will show you guys well, actually, this run is running now, but that's not enough of it. Go back here. So, for example, it switched us. It inverted. It moved. There's the run previous. This is the run we were just looking at. So it inverted these. I mean, that's the NAM is kind of doing NAM things. So yeah, that I don't know about that. But take us through the event here, and very measurable snow up the coast. I mean, it randomly kind of likes certain areas of Cape Cod, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard. I mean, you have several inches and goes up into Atlantic Canada. What about the RRFSA model? The RRFSA model looks almost identical to the GFS in footprint here, with the heaviest stuff well off to the east, but still several inches, a few to several inches across my area of the woods. Does not like Atlanta. Here are these streamers back here in Alabama. They're not a lot in there, but you might see some snow flying around. And I mean, it really likes eastern areas of North Carolina here, with over a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet in areas. Do I think we have enough moisture in the atmosphere for 2 feet? I don't know. I'm not quite sure about that yet, but maybe. Doesn't like Cape Cod very much and goes up, and we kind of run out of energy here. So yeah, there's that. Now we're going to start south and move north with these graphics. So these are National Weather Service graphics. I'm going to reload every single one of these just to make sure there's nothing updated. This one is the same. So let us get into this here. They're calling for now 1/2 inch to 2 inches in Atlanta. That is an uptrend, guys. Yesterday we were looking at trace to an inch. So your floor is a little higher, and your ceiling is much higher than it once was. Even over in areas of Gadsden, Huntsville area, even though you're not in this, you're closer to it. They have definitely moved that line. And then areas, they're kind of picking up on this band feature already. But mainly just focus on Georgia with this. That's what this graphic is for. And yeah, this is impressive. I don't know what highway this is that runs up like this, but along whatever that is, pretty notable snow. It gets notable snow much further west than we were looking at some of the other days. So that's great for you guys. I'm happy for y'all. Even though that's not super high totals, it's still something. So this is the most recent thing we have for the Greenville-Spartanburg area. And they've actually ticked these just a little bit down in these areas right here. Of course, I noticed that because I live in that circle. So I'm nitpicky, but I would take 3 to 5 inches. I absolutely would. Again, I'm 16 years old. Don't know if I've ever seen that much snow on the ground at one time. So I would absolutely take that. And you can see, this 6-inch line has moved west for sure towards Greenville here. So there is that. Now, how about the broader sector here, mainly just North Carolina that I'm showing you here? This does look a little different. They have dropped off some of what their foot or more totals here. There's one showing up here, but don't hyper focus on that. They have definitely dropped you guys off up here in northern areas of North Carolina. Now, this reminds me. I'm going to click on the range, let it load. Here we go. Notice how your ranges are pretty wide, 3 to 8 inches in Greensboro. You might be thinking that's not a forecast. I can't make decisions based off of that. Look, guys, I understand that if you live in those areas, and trust me, I do. But they literally cannot do any better than this because we have so many varying scenarios. Even this close is very difficult. 5 to 11 inches in Plymouth, North Carolina, 3 to 8 in Wilmington, 2 to 7 in Myrtle Beach. I think a lot of these areas, I just in this circle, your floor is pretty low depending on where this dry slot sets up, but your ceiling is very high. So speaking of your ceiling, here it is. So we have some model runs that show this. Areas in this orange color that you see are areas of at least 12 inches or more, and it's much more widespread. This is your ceiling. This is not what they're calling for. This is what could happen if all the moisture gets wrung out pretty much. And this is how much potential we've got. So there is that. Now, how about areas of southern southeastern Virginia here? So you guys kind of go back and forth, but you can see an area in Virginia here of at least 6 inches or more. South Hill, Emporia, Franklin, Norfolk. We have some family in this area actually. Williamsburg up there with 4 inches. Petersburg up to Richmond, you got about an inch, but Cape Charles 6 inches there. And then you can look down the coast a little bit, slightly zoomed in. Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, with 10 inches is what you're calling for. Elizabeth City, you guys have dropped off from you at one point. We're showing 12 inches. You dropped that off. Winster now has that. So just watch. These graphics are changing every time they update them. So here's one further up the coast for areas of the Delmarva along the coast here. So this includes Long Island here. So yeah, they're not a whole lot. It really doesn't like the idea. They don't really like the idea of getting much inland here. Far southern areas of New Jersey could see something. Southern areas south of Dover could see something. They're calling for an inch in, say, Cape May, Atlantic City. Not a whole lot, though. And so there's that. We move up the coast again. This has been a kind of a wild card area, is the Cape Cod area. So they're calling for 6 inches in Nantucket. I could see that, but they might drop these a little bit. But you can see what an aggressive cutoff it is. It's just right here. And yeah, Martha's Vineyard, 4 inches. However you guys say this. Hyannis, however you guys say that, 5 inches. Provincetown, 4 inches right on the Cape there. Plymouth, 2 inches. New Bedford, 2 inches. Newport, that would be an inch or so, and then it cuts off quickly. So that is what you guys are expecting, and we have, I think, one more to go up the coast. Yeah, this is Maine. I feel bad for you guys. This is your high end, and there's not a whole lot. This is what they're calling for. Next to nothing. This is not gonna. You pretty much, based off of this, you wouldn't really know anything's going on. So there is that. So that is all I have for you guys today. As of right now, at least. It's 3 p.m. as of the time I'm speaking. So yeah, we will get into this evening as well. We actually are going to have church this evening because we're not going to be able to have it Sunday most likely. So I'll tune into that and get another video out. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.